In December of 2018, Tumblr announced it would be banning porn.
The ban was heralded as the end of Tumblr, and it actually almost was. As of March of 2019, Tumblr had lost nearly 30% of its user base, with even more dropping off in the nearly 2 years since.
I joined Tumblr in late 2015, at the end of its heyday as the home for weird and quirky teens, having watched most of it from the sidelines through Pinterest, just as I did with most things as a homeschooled teenager. And yet, even now that so many people have left the site, there's still a lot of weird and wonderful things to see there, with innumerable communities devoted to various popular media, video games, comics, anime, etc., blogs devoted to positivity, self-care, and self-love, and groups explaining and preserving the history of internet culture, such as the recent Tumblr Heritage posts, which is now filling my dash with all of the posts that I'd read about on Pinterest in 2013. On the even weirder side of Tumblr are smaller groups of people devoted and deeply invested in the darker aspects of life, such as the Vulture Culture community, who collect and scavenge bones and roadkill. I might have a personal interest in that one. This is a real skull, by the way. But one of the more popular communities in the past few years has been the Tumblr Witch community.
While the Tumblr Witch community, or Witchblr, also took a hit when the NSFW ban went into effect, it still remains fairly active to this day. Searching tags like witch, witchblr, or baby witch will net you memes about smashing the patriarchy, catching water in jars, and casting spells. There are emojis listed in rows for specific meanings that you like to charge and reblog to cast. This aspect of Tumblr witch culture became a meme of its own, with people adding the phrase to random posts outside of Witchblr.
A more popular trend was for spells to ease the burden of mental illness and aches and pains, often with the warning that the spells won't work in place of medication or medical assistance, but to enhance it. When you look at Witchblr, it matches up fairly succinctly with the historical aspects of a witch. Young, down-on-their-luck women, or feminine identifying or assigned people, people of color, queer people, mentally and physically ill people, all looking for control in a world where power is a commodity, one many of us do not have the privilege to access. And there are different kinds of witches on Tumblr as well, here broken down by Michaela Clements and Ayasha Khan.
Berlin-based writer Michaela Clements divides witches on the microblogging site Tumblr into 3 categories. 1. Witches who are devoted to magic, not religion. They often share spellbooks, like a love spell, and kitchen witchery, like a honey lemon ginger tea, for sore throats or magical laundry detergent. Clements points to Tumblr's base among digital-savvy teens who tend to be disenchanted with religion. 2. The witches who are religious and affiliate themselves with Wicca or other neo-pagan spiritual paths. They tend to focus more on the non-practical uses of magic, good energy, and the natural world, rather than any concrete potions or charms, Clements said. 3. The Tumblr Witch, who Clements said is tied up in intersectional feminism, in a desire to reclaim power and to laugh as she does so. She posts pentacles for the aesthetic and exults in hipster consumerism. She is politically aware, as are many on Tumblr's social justice-friendly platform, and embraces the iconography of the angry satanic witch with irreverent joy.
While the history of the religious aspects of Tumblr's more conventional witches is certainly an interesting conversation, it really aligns itself with what Western cultures think of in terms of a witch. Herbs, plants, candles, rituals. These practices seem like a pretty active and realistic attempts at accessing a higher power. Whereas the Tumblr Witch, the third iteration of a witch, is almost her own beast entirely. If you think I'm here to talk about the weird, the cringe, and the weirdos, the freaks of Tumblr, I'm afraid this isn't the video for you. While there are massive issues with Tumblr's witch community, just like any community, it deals with issues of racism and colonialism, specifically the cultural appropriation and misinformation about closed cultural practices. What I'm really here to do is look at it with a little bit of wonder and a little nostalgia, and also ask, why are Tumblr witches a thing? Yeah. The Tumblr Witch finds freedom and control over her ever-shifting, ever-chaotic life through small rituals, ones often relating to self-care and comfort, things like teas, nice-smelling herbs, baths, and practicing self-love and incorporating them into various magical things. While at a glance this sounds like the rituals of a traditional witch, the rituals you can find on a Tumblr Witch blog include things like calming breathing exercises, potions of chamomile tea with honey and lemon, or various other small, inconsequential rituals. The Tumblr Witch knows that these practices may not actually give her access to a higher power, but it may give her the strength and comfort to keep fighting against oppression and hardship in an uncaring world. Tumblr Witchcraft is less an actual religion and more a political movement, one in which self-care is at the forefront, where radical kindness and love is an undeniable tenet.
As the rest of the Clements quote goes, Tumblr Witch is not an identity, but the Tumblr Witch is concerned with identities. Unlike the Wicca blogger, the Tumblr Witch is unlikely to define herself seriously as a witch. The Tumblr Witch couples intersectional feminist theory with humor and self-deprecation, and she also presents a mirror for an increasingly frantic millennial generation. One interesting aspect of this revelry in witchcraft and the occult is the historical context of the witch. Historically, the term witch was used to oppress, torture, and kill women, especially those who were old, mentally or physically ill, queer, or of color.
Historically, nearly anything could get you labeled as a witch, and then tried as one. From more obvious occult behaviors like astrology and potion making, to relatively normal actions like not listening to the man of the house, or simply knowing someone who has been accused of being a witch. Even things like male impotency were blamed on women.
The women were horrendously tortured to get a confession out of them, stripped, locked away, beaten, and abused ceaselessly until finally they would confess and implicate other women along with them, continuing the cycle. From the essay Witch Beliefs and Witch Trials in the Middle Ages, Documents and Readings, after her admission and confession, she was sentenced to be burned. Even a privileged woman in this time was meant to be perfect and silent, completely obedient to the man she was married to, or to her father, or whatever other patriarchal figure existed in her life. She did not have the power over her person, or the ability to act outside of that construct, and when she did, or is tempted to, she was punished severely. So why then do we reclaim something that was historically used to oppress us, and strip us of power?
The resurgence of an almost secular form of witchcraft was not just sequestered to Tumblr. There are books, podcasts, even monthly subscription boxes relating to the aesthetic of witchcraft. Many young women go through a phase of interest in the subject, and it seems that now, as if due to a longing for the nostalgia of spooky sleepovers, the revelry in the occult is making a comeback. And it doesn't seem to be something that isn't without a more globally centered reason. As noted previously, many Tumblr witches are people who experience hardship and oppression. These are people looking for any sense of power and meaning as the world becomes more and more terrifying.
From the essay, The Real Reason Women Love Witches, it's not hard to understand why witches and witchcraft continue to hold sway over women, especially young women on the cusp of adulthood, who are faced with a world that refuses to take them seriously except as sexual objects. Not only has witchcraft historically offered women power that they might not otherwise be able to access, but witches offer girls and women an alternative role model to the ubiquitous, young, beautiful Disney princess. A witch can be any age. A witch does not need to be conventionally attractive. A witch does not need to wait for Prince Charming, nor does she rely on anyone but herself.
In 2019, I wrote an essay on this subject for a literature class focused on the witch, and given that I have an active Tumblr account and access to Google Forms, I decided to reach out to Tumblr's witch community and hear from them specifically. The survey was anonymous, consisting of 12 questions.
1. How long have you been a witch? 2. How did you discover witchcraft? Was it through Tumblr or somewhere else? 3. How do you feel Tumblr has influenced or affected your practice as a witch? 4. What kind of witch are you? 5. What does being a witch mean to you? 6. Do you feel that witchcraft is a form of self-care? Why or why not? 7. In what way does being a witch help you in our current world? 8. Do you feel being a witch/magic gives you more control over your life than before you were a witch? 9. The term witch has a very fraught and difficult past, having been used as a way to harm women, people of color, queer people, mentally and physically ill people, and more. How do you rectify with this history and your identity as a witch? Do you feel being a witch now is a reclamation of power? 10. Do you feel the term witch is political or apolitical? Why do you feel this way? 11. Do you feel that enough is done on Tumblr to combat cultural appropriation in the witch community? 12. Do you have any other comments or things you would like the researcher to know? I ended the survey at midnight, receiving 100 answers in a little over 5 hours. The Tumblr post it had been attached to had been shared over 50 times throughout the Tumblr witch community. Not every answer I got was helpful. Some people recommended I stop researching Tumblr witchcraft and instead focus on real magic, while others thought the political topic of my questions were inappropriate. Most, however, gave interesting insight into what it was about modern witchcraft that had drawn them to it. For me, it gives me a feeling of control and power that I know comes from myself, when I felt like I had none before. The power to take back the reins of my life and pass it on to others who need it, said one user in response to the question of what being a witch meant to them. Witchcraft, is a form of identity, and a way of handling self-discovery, just understanding myself and my place in the world through practice and whatnot, said another. In general, the responses to the questions of what witchcraft meant to those who answered was something along the lines of self-discovery and control over a hectic life. To me, being a witch is about claiming power in a life where I don't feel like I have very much of it. The things I do and the rituals I perform may not really do anything, they may not actually affect my life in any meaningful way, but I think it gives me a sense of peace to feel like in some way I am claiming a little bit of power.
This idea that magic is a way of regaining a sense of power is obviously not only present on Tumblr. In a 2018 HuffPost video interview with witch Helen Belay, she explains how witchcraft helped her recover from trauma. One thorough line that runs through the history and present of magical practice is that magic is the practice of the oppressed, says Helen. In the video, Helen explains that magic and witchcraft helped her to regain a sense of control and gave her a way to understand herself both inside and outside of the context of what she had been through. There is a part of me that is holy, and that holy part of me deserves to be taken care of, she says. Another aspect of the survey was to understand the political nature of witchcraft and what people thought of it. Many respondents felt that magic was apolitical, something that was, or should be, outside of the realm of politics and government, but a few had other feelings on the matter. The term witch can mean a variety of things depending on the context and who is saying it. The act of becoming a witch is inherently declaring a rebellion against what the larger society deems as normal and good. I would say that is pretty political.
If they felt that being a witch was a reclamation of power, a majority of responders expressed that they were not only a witch, but also a part of another minority group that faces oppression. A significant number of the witches who participated in the survey identified themselves as queer, people of color, or mentally ill. One respondent in particular stated, "As a queer, autistic, agnostic Latina, I feel like I would have been seen as a witch regardless of my spiritual beliefs and would have been persecuted for my identity. Having power over the label helps me feel some semblance of taking the power back into my own hands." For many, the intersectionality of oppression they face is a reason for becoming a witch. "I think it's similar to other terms and slurs that have been reclaimed," said another user. "If you take it back from the people who used it on you, it becomes less powerful for them to use it because you embraced it. A witch is a powerful thing. She's a scary thing, and I think by claiming that for myself, I claim a bit of that collective power. I become more terrifying." As Helen puts it, magic is a practice for people who have been rejected, cast off, or marginalized by society. If regardless of who you are, regardless of what you do, you will be demonized, then why not embrace it? As one responder quite succinctly summed it up, "I am frightful and heinous. You can't use it against me if you fear what it means for me to be such."
In an article titled How Witches Took Over Tumblr in 2017, reporter Caitlin Tiffany explores the boom in witches on Tumblr. Tumblr Content Insights manager Amanda Brennan offered some speculation, telling The Verge in a phone call, "As people are dealing with the political climate and watching the world feel like it's falling apart, a lot more of them are drawn to finding this deeper connection with the physical world, and this idea of magic being something that exists outside of them, but that they can have a little bit of control or influence over." Tiffany cites the politics of the world for the sudden boom in witchblur, and for the general cult of the internet. And it makes sense. There is so much going on in the world, so much that we have immediate access to. It doesn't take much time at all to open any social media app and find death, destruction, and endless hopelessness. And this was before 2020. As the world seems more closed off, more uncaring, more unjust, is it really so strange? In a world where, for some people, the act of existing is inherently a political act, contemporary internet witchcraft is a process for reclaiming power through the use of a name and an idea that has traditionally been used to hurt people. Tens of thousands of women were murdered for being accused of witches. It wasn't uncommon for women who gained power to be accused of witchcraft. For a lot of European history, women with power were something to be feared and stopped. The name witch is also something to fear. She was something so horrific, so threatening, that thousands of women were killed in her name. Today, the oppressed and downtrodden use her name the way I use the word queer, as an identifier and label for all who face this shared oppression. And as one survey taker beautifully put it, "As a witch, your existence cannot be apolitical." A Tumblr witch is not a witch because she believes in magic, or because she speaks with devils or deities, or because she can see the future. Instead, a Tumblr witch is a witch because she cannot see the future. She cannot see what is coming. A Tumblr witch is a witch because she rebels and revolts against the wrongs that she sees in the world, and with whatever little power she can sum up. Some days, maybe that means protesting, or boycotting, or calling representatives. Maybe it is taking direct action and providing mutual aid. Other days, maybe it is simply the act of existing, as a woman, as a queer person, as a person of color, or any other number of things and reasons that people give for hating you for being alive. The Tumblr Witch is not a witch because she believes in magic. The Tumblr Witch is a witch because she knows she would have been burned as one.
I just also want to give a quick shout out to the person who answered Gaia Online to the question about where you learned about witchcraft. I hope you're having an incredible life.